I studied cycling. I learned to cycle. These are both correct, but they have very different meanings. In this video, I'm going to talk about 15 English verbs that you might be using incorrectly. Before we start, make sure you get my free 7-day English grammar course by email by going to the link in the video description. And subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's get started. The first pair of verbs I want to talk about is to remember and to recall. And they have very similar meanings, but they are used differently. I remember talking to you about this. I recall talking to you about this. What is the difference? So to remember is to keep something in your memory. It is in your memory. You don't need to try and find this memory in your head because it's already there. You can remember it. So I remember talking to you about this means that I have this memory in my head. I don't need to do anything to find it. To remember can also mean that a memory comes to your mind by itself naturally. You don't have to do anything to find it. Suddenly, I remembered it was my best friend's birthday. So this thought, this memory came to me suddenly, even though I wasn't looking for it. To recall is different. It means to try and access a specific memory, and you need to make some effort to find it. So it's a lot more active than remembering. I recall talking to you about this. So maybe I didn't remember it. Maybe I didn't have this memory in my head, but I went and looked for it and I found it. Now let's look at study and learn. In many languages, there is only one word for both. But in English, we've got two words and they are used very differently. To study is to devote your time to exploring and analysing a subject, usually by reading a lot about it, in order to gain specific knowledge. So when you study art, for example, then you read lots of books about it, maybe you watch some videos about it in order to understand the topic and to gain some knowledge. But to learn is different. It means to acquire a skill or some knowledge by studying. So you can think about studying as the process and learning as the event that happens when you realize that you finally know something or you know how to do something. For example, I learned how to ride a bike. So I finally realized I could do it. Let's look at some more examples. I've been studying very hard for my exam. I've spent many hours reading and exploring the subject. So it's the process of trying to understand something. I finally learned how to swim last year. I finally gained the skill and now I know how to swim. Let's do a little quiz. Tell me, is this sentence correct or incorrect? What did you do this morning? I studied to ride a bike. Correct or incorrect? Incorrect. I learned to ride a bike. So I acquired a skill and now I know how to do it. But you can also say to study cycling, but the meaning is very different. It doesn't mean that you acquire the skill. It means you explore the topic of cycling. So maybe you read some books about the history of cycling or about the best cyclists in history. Look at this one. I studied a new word today. Correct or incorrect? Incorrect. It should be I learned a new word today. Coming up later in this video, to proceed and to precede, to rise and to raise, to look, watch and see, and much more. And we've got some more practice coming up, so make sure you watch until the end. To proceed and to precede. They look very similar, but they're very different. To proceed is to start an action or a process or to continue it. My lawyer decided not to proceed with the case, so he decided not to start the process of working on the case. After the break, we will proceed with the meeting. We will continue it. To precede is to happen before something else. We need to precede our report with an introduction. So the introduction needs to happen first. Let's do a little quiz. The introduction precedes the main speech. Correct or incorrect? Incorrect. It should be precedes, which means it comes before it. You can proceed with your work now. Correct or incorrect? Again, incorrect. You can proceed with your work, so you can start it or continue it. Now let's look at rise and raise. To rise normally goes after the subject, and it doesn't have to have anything after it. The sun rises. So the sun is the subject and rises goes after it. And there's nothing afterwards. To raise needs to have an object after it. I raised my hand. I put my hand up. Let's practice. Prices are rising or raising. Prices are rising. They're going up. Rise or raise your hand to ask a question. Raise your hand. Coming up later in the video, to wink and to blink, to say and to tell, and more. I will also mention an advanced exception, so make sure you keep watching. To wink and to blink. To wink is to close and open one eye quickly, like this. To blink is to close and open both eyes at the same time, like this. To say and to tell. They both mean to communicate something with words, but they're used differently. Usually we use say when we don't mention who we're talking to. She said, "I'm tired." It doesn't matter who she was talking to. But when we use tell, we mention who we're talking to. She told me she was tired. So she was talking to me. But sometimes you can actually use say and mention who you're talking to. She said it to me. So you need to if you do that. And you would only do it if you want to emphasize who somebody is talking to. She didn't say it to you. She said it to me. So I want to emphasize she was talking to me specifically. Now look, watch and see. And I'm also going to mention an advanced tip at the end, so make sure you keep watching. Look, those two gorillas are having ice cream. So I want you to direct your eyes at the gorillas. Looking is an action, something you have to do. Yeah, I saw that earlier. To see is to perceive something with your eyes. It's not really an action. It's just something that your eyes do. I'm going to stay here and watch them. To watch is to observe something for a period of time. Let's do a quiz. Fill in the blanks with see, watch, or look. At this picture. Look, I want you to direct your eyes at the picture. A football game. I'm watching, so I'm observing it for a period of time. Your brother at the gym last night. I saw, so I didn't do anything. My eyes just perceived your brother. Now, an advanced way to use to see. To see somebody also means to date somebody. Are you seeing anyone at the moment? Are you dating anyone? Remember to get your free 7-day grammar course by email from the link in the video description. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time. Bye.